here. The quick hitters. You know what I
Denzel,
mean?
we
Yeah.
ready. We ready.
Okay. Yeah. What up? What up, world? Playmakers of all kind. You know what I'm saying? Ism spitters of all kind, life livers of all kind around the world. This Bogart Scott Free, representing the GMM network in collaboration with Complicated Ky. What's happening?
What is up, man? Appreciate the extraordinary introduction.
You know what I'm saying? I do my best work when I'm just making it up as I go along. You know what I mean? But yeah, check this out, world. On this one, it's kind of a quick hitter edition, kind of a makeshift playmakers episode. You know what I'm saying? We're just gonna talk a little bit of fantasy, kind of where we stand, personally in our leagues, because I always think that's interesting for the listeners. You know what I mean? Or the viewers, or whatever how they're consuming this. I always feel it's interesting when we're dealing with the same things they're dealing with, because this has been one hell of a roller coaster year.
Man, this has been a journey to say the least, brother.
I know, right? And it's like we went from starting the year not knowing if we're even going to have a football season, like in general. You know what I mean? Let alone to get to week one of the playoffs. I actually popped off last night. Got a little side story for you about that one too. You know what I mean? But how are you looking in your leagues right now, man?
Man, I am in two leagues, and in one of them, I am not in the playoffs. I made the mistake the whole year of not starting Robert Woods in
Why?
fear because I had other players. I had like T.
Oh yeah.
I had a really good squad, man. I think in that one I have Hopkins, Julio,
Oh yeah.
Robert Woods, T. Higgins. And so T. Higgins was going it was like every time I wanted to start him, I was scared that when I would put him in, he would suck. And he never
Yeah.
sucked.
No,
So I made that mistake.
until he never sucked until Burrow went down. You know
No,
what I
no,
mean?
no, Robert Woods.
Oh, Robert Woods. Oh yeah, he.
He
You know
never
what?
sucked.
He never sucked, dude. I mean,
Mm-mm.
Robert Woods was one of the more consistent. I think he only had about two blow up games this season. I want to say.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like he had a 2 touchdown game early on in the year. He. But here's the thing: the NFC West. You know what I mean? They went up against obviously the NFC West division rivals, and then they also went up against the AFC East, and we also played what other division did we play this year? We also played the NFC East. So when you talk about receivers in the NFC West divisions, right? So your your Nuke Hopkins, your Cooper Cups, your Robert Woods, your Debo
Lockett.
Samuels, Lockett, DK. You
Mm-hmm.
know, if you have any of these guys, say you have DK, right? Because I do have some DK shares. He played against Patrick Peterson twice. He played against Darius Slay from the Eagles. Played against who he dogged actually. Played against James Bradbury, who kind of dogged him out. Even though he got the stiff arm heard around the world, James Bradbury kept him in check. He played against and that's just the NFC. That's just the AFC East guys, right? And the NFC West guys. Now you get into like, oh, he also played Jalen Ramsey twice. You know what I mean? Now you're talking about going up against the AFC East guys, Stephon Gilmore from the Patriots, Tre'Davious White from Buffalo, Xavier Howard from Miami. Like these are some boys. You know what I mean? So when you talk about Robert Woods, him never being bad is because opposite of him was Cooper Kupp, who was drawing all those number one corners I just listed. You know what I mean? So he was a better factor. You know what I mean? But it was tough because to me, Robert Woods was always like a WR2 with high end, what WR1 upside every week. You know
Yep.
what I mean? And when you got guys like Higgins, who was like getting, 22, 25% of the target market share, it's kind of hard to get away from that type of shit.
So
And
I
like,
was nervous on where to put him after the flex because remember I had Hopkins and Julio.
oh yeah,
So
and then
do I
Julio,
put Higgins or do I put Robert Woods in the flex?
yeah. And Julio was just a roller coaster in itself too, where it's
Yes,
like, okay, the only times you ever didn't have to make the decision was when Julio was out, and you're like, okay, cool, put in Woods and Higgins. You know what I mean? Because, Hopkins, although he's been inconsistent, like after a hot start, he's been fairly inconsistent, you know what I mean, where he kind of has been touchdown or bust. You know what I mean? Like he hasn't been garnishing, the 30% target market share that he did for the first month. You know what I mean?
Right.
You go from getting like, 12, 13, 14 targets a week, then you go down to like 8, 9, you know what I mean? And then you have an injured Kyler. It's the trickle down effect. You
Right.
know what I mean? And what's funny is because I own I should say roster. I roster every single one of those players you've talked about, and like like my Julio teams didn't do anything. My Skywalker teams, my DeAndre Hopkins teams, those ones fell short. And it's kind of also what you end up paying for those guys in the draft. You know what I mean? Where if you went running back early this year, running back, maybe first 3 rounds. And then you started attacking all the mid-round receivers, Terry McLaurin, Robert Woods, who else we got? DJ Moore. Hold on, there's some good ones here. Keenan Allen, Stephon Diggs. Like if you attacked those guys and obviously that meant you went running back heavy early. Those guys are in it right now. You know what I mean? Those teams are in it. You know what I'm saying?
See,
Like
in my other league, I'm 10-3, somehow in second place. I think through the points. I think it's a weird, hella traditional league though. I don't even think it's PPR, bro. I think it's
okay,
like,
so it's standard.
yeah, it's hella standard. And I went wide receiver heavy on that one. So
Yeah.
on that one, I have Tariq Hill, Ridley, Thielen, and then Deion Johnson from
Yeah,
Pittsburgh.
Deontay Johnson. Yeah. So you
So,
you just named 3 touchdown machines right there.
but the only thing is my running back. I think it actually came in my favor that the running back situations was terrible this season because I ended up with Miles Sanders, which is decent, and then
Yeah.
I have Ronald Jones as well.
Yeah. So
But
he came out of value.
exactly, great value. And originally, my number one draft pick was Michael Thomas, so I really would have had Michael
Ooh.
Thomas, Ridley, and Tariq Hill and Thielen. So I went really wide receiver heavy, but I traded Michael Thomas for Mixon, which worked out for a week or two, and
Yeah.
ever since
And
then
then it
it
went
did
to shit. Yeah.
exactly. But it's actually it really didn't hurt me or help me. It helped me for 2 weeks more than it hurt me
Well,
because
you had the loss of
Thomas
Michael
wasn't,
Thomas longer. Yeah.
and then he hasn't been doing nothing anyway, right?
Yeah.
Has he? So
Well, especially in non PPR. You know what I mean?
exactly,
Because he's gonna get like he's a PPR machine. He needs to pile up 8 receptions and go for like 70 to 80 yards, but that's only 7, 8 points in the standard. You know what I mean? Versus the 15
exactly.
you would get in a PPR format. But it's just one of them things. You know what I mean? Like it's the give and take. At least you didn't sit on your hands too long. You know what I mean? You made that move because I know a lot of people, even people that had CMC. Like I was advising people after 4 weeks of no CMC, I'm like, move him. You know what I mean? Like we are getting a ton of questions on the Run Boys show. Shout out to the Run Boys. You know what I mean? Just and every week, people are like, what do I do? Do I sit? And I would be like, your decisions should be based on dictated by your record. If your record is bad, move that man because he's not helping you. You know what I mean? And I said the same thing with Michael Thomas. You know what I mean? Like I had a ton of Michael Thomas shares, even in my keeper league. And I had Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Michael Thomas in my keeper league, and I flipped them as a pair for Derrick Henry, Gio Bernard, and then like a future second round pick. But I got Gio Bernard because I have Joe Mixon. So I was like, about a month ago, I was like, okay, cool. Let me get Gio and ride that wave until Mixon comes back. And you know how that worked out. And now I just outright dropped Gio too. I was like, I don't need him. But to get Derrick Henry, I was willing to do that.
Right.
And now I'm in the first round of the playoffs. But if I probably sat on my hands, I'd probably be from the outside looking in.
Right.
I said, so we did just mention playoffs started last night. So here's when you had a little story about your decision making you had to do. And here's one of mine, man, because I answer fantasy questions every week. I feel like I have a good hit rate, especially when it's not my team. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if you were to ask me a question, I got flat out, no bias, tell you what I would do, what the safest, best move to do, and I would feel good about it. But then when I look at my team, I can have those same players you're asking me about, and I'll just second guess and overthink everything because I'm crazy.
Right.
So in my keeper league, like I said, it's a keeper league. So over the years I've built this team. You know what I mean? So I have Nick Chubb, Joe Mixon, who's on IR. Um, I, DK Metcalf, I traded for. I drafted Keenan Allen this year. I have Joe Burrow stacked. I mean, I have what's his name? Justin Herbert stacked with him. You know, my tight end, I've been kind of streaming, but I got 3 tight ends. I got Gesicki, Hayden Hurst, Jonnu Smith. It's a double flex. So I have Chubb, Henry, as in a Derrick Henry.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have David Montgomery, and I have Mike Pittman Jr., T. Higgins, and Cam Akers. I picked up Cam Akers off the waivers like a month ago. Felt good about it. Just been waiting on it, sitting on it, and been watching him go off on my bench. So last night, or yesterday morning, I should say, you know, I'm preparing for the pregame show because, you know, we're about to break down for our sponsor. Shout out to our sponsor, Monkey Knife Fight. Use promo code GMM or promo code RunBoys. Match your first deposit all the way to $50. Hey, but we're doing a Monkey Knife Fight pregame show, and we're gonna just zero in on this one game, which was the Rams and Patriots. So I'm going through all the numbers, and I'm breaking down. You know, I'm like, wow, Cam Akers, man, my guy has been getting 60+% of the snap count out of the backfield. And I'm like, man, this is, you know, this kind of screams a good play to me. And I look at my other options, like I said, T. Higgins, get out of here. You know what I mean? I look at Mike Pittman Jr., you know what I mean? I was playing the Raiders, really bad secondary. But I'm like, okay, I can go with 4 massive running backs here. You know what I mean? Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry, David Montgomery, and Cam Akers. And I started looking at it, I'm like, okay, well, the Patriots, they've been giving up, you know, 100-yard outings whenever they're trying to take away a weapon that's not the running back. For example, when my Niners played them, they took away Kittle. And then, you know, and then they also took away Debo. So then Jeff Wilson Jr., of all people, the running back, he puts up 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. You know what I mean? So he's the first person I thought of immediately because I'm thinking here, well, Belichick's going to look at their best strengths, and that's going to be Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. And he's like, okay, let's take them away. And then they're a bend don't break defense. So I'm thinking, all right, Cam Akers can get off here. But now the next question is this 2 weeks in a row of 60% of the snap count going to continue on a short week when it could just be the hot hand approach? So I have them in my lineup. I do the show, and I respect the hell out of my colleagues. And I was telling them my situation, and I'm like, you know, because we're breaking down the game, and everything I just said, I'm breaking down. You know, Belichick, he's probably going to take away Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp as best of his ability. You know, maybe Tyler Higbee gets a couple catches here and there because he'll be unchecked for. But I'm like, I really like the running back here. I really like Cam Akers. And everyone was just like, are you really gonna risk your playoff, you know, start, you know, with something that, you know, is not really proven yet? And I have this thing where we, you know, over at the Run Boys, we have this thing called NBA Jam rules. You apply NBA Jam rules to everything. You remember that game?
Mm-hmm.
He's on fire. And in NBA Jam, you shoot 3 threes in a row. Now you're on fire. So for 3 weeks in a row, this man's been hitting pay dirt, touchdown 3 weeks in a row. And for the last 2 of those 3 weeks, 60% of the snap count. So I'm like, this is a good play. And my peers, because I respect the hell out of them, they're like, I wouldn't do that, man. They're like, do you really feel comfortable? I'm like, I don't. So I got off the play. And bro, his first touch of the game, 35-yard run. And I was like, oh, he's going to have a breakout game. And he went for 170 something on the ground, another, you know, 30 through the air, couple catches. And it's sitting on my bench. And would have felt really good right now. It's my $500 league. I would have had a commanding lead. And now, you know, I'm hoping Michael Pittman Jr. can go off. You know what I'm saying? And these are the fantasy woes, or as I call fantasy row, WROE, which is an acronym I made up because I live on Fantasy Row. You know what I mean? It's kind of like Skid Row without all the homeless people. You know what I mean? But it's Fantasy Row, the WROE, the wide range of emotions. And it's the things that we deal with throughout the year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it happens. That's what I was saying about Robert Woods, man. Same team.
I know, right? Fuck the Rams.
For real, man. Hectic.
Oh man. So you obviously got the bye week here. You're the second seed.
I don't even know how. I think it's
You know how many people get into the playoffs in that league?
I think they were saying it's like calculated. I don't even know if there is a full out playoff. I think he said something to do with I have to relook it up. I think it's the four teams, and then I don't know. I have to look it up.
Okay, if is it a 10-team league?
I think so, yeah. Let me
Okay,
see. Hold
so
on, I'm sorry.
yeah, because if it's 10 teams, it's not uncommon that only 4 teams make it, the top four. That would mean that there is no bye week. And then what happens is
Wait, he said it's
it's a
determined.
2-week.
He
Oh,
said it's
okay.
determined at the best by the best record at the end of week 17. Then I think it's the top four teams.
That's interesting. Yeah, I don't like that. It's
Yeah,
interesting, but I like I'm more traditional.
right.
I mean, I like I'm not even mad at it in a 10-team league if 6 teams make it. I like the top 2 teams to get a bye week. You know what I mean? Like they earned it. You know what I mean? They get to progress forward into into week 15 and kind of maybe not necessarily kick their feet up and wait, because I would still be you know seeing what I can get on the waiver and seeing what defense I look at my week 15 matchups. You know what I mean? Like I'm still looking ahead, but at least you get the comfort of like not having to sweat being one and done in the playoffs. Like I feel like if I would have started Cam Akers in this particular league, which costs $500, you know what I'm saying? And this league is a league that I lost the Super Bowl 2 years in a row to the same guy. And he's the number 2 seed right now. So he's on a bye week talking about it's destiny, me and you meet again. And, just fucking with my head. And then like trolling me that, about me sitting Cam Akers when I had him in the lineup. You know what I mean? It's so funny. It's those things where it's like, if it was anybody else who asked me, because people were asking about Cam Akers last night, I was saying do it. And then they're like, don't listen to him. You know what I mean? And then, shout out to Robbie. He's calling the game after. And I'm just in the comments like, Cam fucking Akers. Oh, and that's probably my favorite part of this fantasy shit. Just like anything else in life, I enjoy the process. And I actually didn't realize how much I enjoy the process till I had a conversation with you on one of my podcasts where, you had pointed out a lot of people, they tend to fall in love with the result before they get it. And it's really the process is something you should value. You know what I mean? Because there is something about putting in the research and putting in the work and then seeing it pan out, or being able to help other people because of the research I'm doing, like asking me the questions and I'm giving them the correct analysis. And then they go on and they come back next week and they're like, oh man, I'm so glad I listened to you. Or they'll even come back. A lot of times they'll be like, I should have listened to you. I asked you and you told me and I went the other way. And it's like, hey, why ask the question then? Right. But those feel just as gratifying too, because now it's like I know that person will come back. That person will be like, okay, this motherfucker's not fucking around. You know what I mean? Like, and to be able to have some type of, because if that's the case without doing research, it's just a guessing game. You know what I mean? That's why fantasy football is not quite gambling, because there is a skill set to it. Like you could be a numbers guy, or you could be a film guy, or you could be a little bit of both. When you find your niche on how, there's some guys that are strictly psychology. They'll draft as many, they'll draft, however they want, and then spend the rest of the year trying to make moves and trades and stuff, because that's the part of the game they enjoy. You know what I mean? Like fantasy football, to me, it's kind of like, have you ever played poker?
Oh yeah,
To me, fantasy football is like poker crossed with pro wrestling. Does that make any sense to you?
kind of.
Because in poker you kind of don't really show your hand, so you're not like in the draft like, yo, I really like T Higgins, bro, he's a sleeper. Like, no, anyone's doing that stupid, right? So it's kind of like poker, you're not showing your hand. You kind of, and then you're also bluffing. A motherfucker might ask me about a terrible player. You know what I mean? And he's my opponent. This guy is my competition here. So, hey man, how do you feel about Calvin Ridley? And I'm really big on Calvin Ridley, but I'll be like, oh, he's gonna be trash this year, bro. You know what I mean? Like, it's that's like where the poker aspect. Now I'm bluffing them. You know what I mean? The reason I say the pro wrestling is because there's the bravado. You know what I mean? There's the talking shit. Or in this case, we're in analyst leagues. or in leagues with our friends where there is shit being talked. We're posting shit about it. We're cutting promo videos, talking shit. You know what I mean? We're doing matchup breakdowns. It's like pro wrestling. You know what I mean? Because and the reason I say pro wrestling versus any other fighting sport is because in pro wrestling they're not really fighting. They're kind of fantasizing about fighting. It's like make believe. You know what I mean? And that's what we are. We're playing fantasy football. We're not actually coaching these teams technically. You know what I mean? But you know, it's just it's fantasy football is poker and pro wrestling to me. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, man. I mean, I'm hoping this year is gonna serve as a precursor moving forward because one thing why I was excited to just have this conversation with you right now is because what I mean, like I I could we kind of started at the same time, right? Like beginning of the year.
Uh, I really started.
Because I really started 2019. I started 2019 August, and I put out about 50 episodes throughout the 2019 season. But like as far as like what we're doing now, all that started at the beginning of this year. You know what I mean?
I think I started in May.
In May. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Maybe
because that's around. I got wind of you guys probably like maybe April, May. I want to
April,
say
May.
yeah, April, May. Yeah, yeah, man.
I think,
And
yeah.
I mean, we don't really got to get into too many details, right? But a lot of things have changed since that from that time till now. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I like the outlook for the two of us, man. You know what I mean? Like what the community that we I like to believe that we built, like, because even what you're doing right now, just something as small as that future goats thread, that's not small, that's significant because you put in you put a lot of different cats. A lot of us we've fucked with each other, but also there's a lot of cats that like I wasn't aware of. Like, oh, okay, cool. I get to check out more, more content. You know what I mean?
To be honest, man, I wasn't even aware of a lot of the people too. I mean, not a lot, but like a majority. So there was a few in there that I was introduced to, and I agree with that. I mean, it's funny. I like to think of myself as the podcast list podcaster. Like, I don't have a podcast, but I'm trying to pop up on as many as
Yeah,
possible and make a name for myself as that. And just as a funny thing. But man, yeah, I do appreciate that. And just real quick, I had tried to come up with something trying to give back to the community, like a little bit of some awards.
yeah, that was
I am
awesome. I seen that.
I am gonna push it back a little bit, and the reason being is because I kind of want to. Man, first off, I'm getting hella booked, and I got to be able to prioritize it and make it as good as I want it to be. I don't
Yeah,
want to just kind of rush it out, but I am gonna do something for some cats because sometimes you got to hear it. Like it's one thing to sometimes you may not even know how great you are. Sometimes it may take people telling you like, hey bro, like Bogar, you are dope, bro, and maybe something to spark for you. But that's something that has helped me, like, so, to be honest, bro, like there's a humble side of me and a confident side. The
yeah,
humble side be like, bro, like I like the way my videos look, but like I've seen so many people do way better. Like, but then at the same time, my other one is like, bro, but you do your thing on them. Like,
yeah. You got your own steez. Like, yeah, everyone.
yeah,
Because you also have an appreciation for other people's work because it's not your work. You know what I mean? Like you could tell like that, like, oh boy, earlier you're like, so what do you use? Do you use the dude in the thread earlier?
right.
You're asking about what he uses to edit, do his edits on,
Mhm.
because it's kind of like, hey, what sword do you use? You know what I mean? Hey, what fighting style do you use? You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
but you get to appreciate these other styles, and you know what I mean. But you also have your own. Like, I think one thing I said to you, the second time I worked with you on a Playmaker AF, I was like, you got one of them voices too, bro. Like I remember telling you that you got one of them voices that's kind of made for this. You know what I mean?
I
Like
appreciate that.
aside from your editing, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, and it makes sense because your music sounded dope to me, and to me, tonality, like like I love Cypress Hill. I think they're dope because of their legacy, but like personally, I never really dug B Real's voice. Like it was just that's not really a voice. Like he's tight and everything, but like, and he's cool as fucking real life. I've met him, smoked with him,
I'm like
But
that
like,
with Logic. I like Logic.
yeah, Logic's
I just don't
lyrics are
like his
tight. I
voice.
don't like his voice.
I don't like his voice, but I
And
like him though.
and
He's
I think his
dope.
voice definitely matches his face. Like, you know what I mean? Like he looks like he sounds. Does that make any sense? You know what I mean? But
Oh
like,
my god.
you feel me though, right? Like I like, I'm tonalities a lot with me because I come from a music background. You know what I mean? Like,
Right, right,
and like in the beginning, that was like it was easy for me to transition to doing podcasts because I was already used to hearing my voice. I remember my co-host, he'd be like, "Damn, I sound like that." Like, "Oh, I don't like that." I'm like, "No, you sound like how we talk." Like, you know what I mean? But it
right,
was the fact that is like basically his first time hearing himself, like, outside of his own ears when he's
right,
talking. You know what I mean?
right.
Like getting used to hearing yourself. You know what I'm saying? And maybe that's also that other side of me too, because it is a duality of man, right? There's the humble side and there's the other side that's kind of like fueled our artistry. As artists,
Exactly.
you gotta be like, oh man, I'm the shit out here, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
there's there's a little bit, there's gotta be a little bit of that because what I'm saying? Or you know what I mean? You're just gonna feel like you can't box with nobody. You know what I'm saying?
See,
Not
that's why I had like working with Adam too. Shout out to What Off Season. He was in the thread too because I hopped on his show, right? This is a little quick
Mhm.
story. And
Yeah,
like me and him was going at it on it a little bit, man. Like I was kind of
a little
I
back
was
and forth exchange.
the way Adam works is Adam comes with intel, man. He comes with real good intellect and statistics with a mix of I know what the hell I'm talking about. So Adam is
Yeah.
a good he's a good guy to debate with. Um I was hitting him with something. I think I was hitting him with questions he wasn't thinking was coming though.
Yeah.
And but he was responding very well. But when we put the video together, he did a hell of a job on his editing to where he popped it out really good. And I do this all the time. Like it's nothing wrong. I'm not saying it in a negative way. He did what he was
Yeah.
supposed to do. It was just because I'm also an editor, it made me be like, okay, let me make mine real quick. So
Yeah.
I cooked mine up real quick and it was real. I liked how it was like working with someone that knows how to edit as well. And shout out to Adam on What All Season. He put that together. I just added the fire and maybe our names or something, but he's a really good editor too. And he
Oh,
uses
that's
some
dope.
tools and he knows how to save like at certain he just knows what he's doing on certain aspects to make it pop without using like big time software. So
Yeah.
that's what I really enjoyed, and that's what I was saying with the community. It is a beautiful thing, man. It's dope, man, and I
So,
like that.
and before we close this thing out, because this was also something I had kind of mentioned to you, I wanted to kind of foreshadow, like what speaking, for our community, what I mean, like you and I, like, what do we got coming? What do we see for this community? Because what I mean, I feel like it's finally starting to get where like now people are wanting to work with each other more in this specific community we got. Because I know throughout the course of the football season everybody's busy. Obviously in the off season, it's easier to collaborate. There's more. It's not as cookie cutter in that sense. You know what I mean? Because like even for my sake, you know what I mean? Like I'm obviously I got the GMM network and then I work with Run Boys. But throughout the course of the week, we're doing stuff that the week demands, waiver wire episodes, rankings episodes, Q&A, you know what I mean? Start sits, shit like that, which is technically cookie cutter, but we do it in our own little twist. But still though, everyone's doing the same thing. So it's like collaborating on those things. It's kind of out of the question in that sense, or at least you don't really see too much of it because
Well,
people are doing the same thing on their own platforms. They're doing the waiver wire shows, they're doing the Q&As, and they're doing the start sits and doing the lives and et cetera. You know what I mean? But
well,
so what do you see for this community like moving
let,
forward? Like
let me give you the outside looking in, right? I'm gonna just give you the raw thing. Again, I don't know who I
from
think
the
I'm
podcaster, that's the podcast list
the
podcaster.
podcastless podcaster. Yeah.
I like that.
I don't know if I was talking to you about. I was talking to somebody. I don't know
I
who.
think it was me because we talked at length the other day, kind of all
Yeah.
about this. Yeah.
So same thing. I scroll through my timeline. I love everybody, but it's the same thing, bro. when if DK Metcalf outruns Buda Baker, the next 50 things on my timeline is the same thing. No creativity. No
It's true though.
creativity. It's one thing if you're resharing it. Like it'd be cooler if people put their own commentary to it. Act like you're the announcer announcing
Yeah.
it, like detailing it. Like maybe if you ran track or played a sport, you can give us a different avenue. But doing this whole TikTok thing with the music and you just repeat it and you change the song, it's lame to me, right? So
Yeah.
what I was telling you is that's why we really enjoy the off season, because it forces you to be creative. It
It's
doesn't,
true.
you can't go off of that play because it doesn't exist during the off season. What exists during the off season? Your creativity. Now, Bogart, there's one thing I do disagree with you with, and you probably didn't mean it this way, but I don't believe that we're all as busy as we say we are. Now,
Mm.
don't get it twisted. I know we are busy, but as busy as I am, I'm talking to you right now. As
Yeah.
busy as I am, I was just in a meeting. As busy as I am, we always all put out work. So
Oh
that's
yeah.
bullshit that we're that busy. It's just that we don't prioritize working together because a lot of people are in competition of each other.
It's
Let's
true.
just be real. And to be honest,
I,
that's
I
the
will say though,
problem.
I am a busy motherfucker. So
You,
like
you
I
are
and
busy. You got
I do
kids.
make, yeah, but I do make time. Like today, Fridays during the day and then all day Saturday are usually my free days. So anytime I could do a feature on those days, I'd be like, hell yeah, are you free Friday or Saturday? Because I know I can make time for those people. You know what I mean? Because
But
other
not
than,
specifically toward you though, just like
oh
the
yeah,
the general person. I'm just saying we
I took it
all
as an
are
attack on me.
good. I need you to good because
You're
I
not
feel
fucking
that
around.
too. No, but I feel you, bro. But it's just like, okay, I know we're busy, bro. And then again, I'm not even including the fact that you got a wife and kids and you got to cook and you got to go feed. You got stuff to do. I'm not saying
Oh
that.
yeah.
What I'm saying is we don't prioritize working together as much as we should, because
That is a solid fact.
you can cut an hour of that time in which you're going to be working on your own stuff to find a way to work with someone to bring a different element. Maybe two people go over the same play, so that way the viewer hears two different perspectives as opposed to some goddamn TikTok video of Buda
With the same
Baker
ass
getting
shit.
tackled. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, like I gotta like this, I guess. Like I don't want to though, like to be honest. So if you don't get likes from me, and it's just that's why. Be create. I'm a creative person. It takes
Yeah.
creativity to make me really feel your stuff, and that's why I'm
Right.
on your show right now, bro. So
I appreciate it. And that's why
yeah,
I rock
man.
with you, man. Like I like one of ones. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
Like, you definitely have that quality. You're definitely a one of one. And like, with that said, I definitely see your perspective on the ones that are like purposely trying to be everything else, not to be a one of one. And you know what I mean? Like, and
Exactly.
okay with it. And then also going back to what you're saying about collaborating too, I feel like people that don't reach out, they tend to not get reached out prior to that. You know what I mean? Like, so they'll just be like, oh, ain't nobody reached out to me. Why would I reach out? You know what I mean? Sometimes that just might all it needs to be. You know what I mean? Like,
Sometimes, yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I I've never had that problem. But you know what though? I literally only reach out to people I dig their stuff. You know what I mean? Because
Right, right.
I'm not like, oh, okay, let's just, how many followers has it got? All right, let's get my name out there. You know what I mean? Like, because I feel like that's like an ass backwards perspective on it. You know what I mean? Like I
You
never
know
worked
what?
in,
Real quick though, you know what it's like what we had talked about before. I don't want to forget. Remember we had mentioned the leaders and followers thing. And
yeah,
we mentioned it not in a negative way. It was just more so there's people designated to take on that like LeBron. There's not
yeah.
who if you want to be a LeBron, that's cool. It's gonna be some work though. Like it's
Oh
not
yeah.
just, oh yeah, I'm LeBron, I'm dope now. No, this guy, you have to be able to take those bullets, bro. So what I'm saying is, because like for example in our thread, I feel like a lot of people do want to work together, but nobody was there to spark it.
It's
Like,
true.
and I always felt like the bridge. I'm like, again, I don't have a
Yeah,
podcast. I
you
just
took that
work
leadership
with people.
role in that sense to put everyone together. Like, okay, mate, this could, you'll throw it all in the melting pot. We might have a nice gumbo here. You know what I mean?
Exactly, exactly. And I want to see what people create. So that's exactly it right there.
Yeah, man. And I think that's awesome, bro, because that, like you said it best. That was a very good terminology to use right there, the bridge.
Yeah,
I mean, the bridges, motherfuckers. Because and I will say this too, you know, one thing I've learned, in any industry I've worked in is, don't burn the bridge, and especially with the bridge makers, you know what I mean, or the people that are the bridge. Don't burn those bridges, you know what I mean, because then in any industry, like if and we're not saying any names or being specific or anything about, this is just, we're just generalizing right here, but yeah, like you burn a bridge, you might be stuck on that island
exactly.
wherever you're at, you know what I mean? And while
Exactly.
everybody's flourishing over here in this on the mainland, or what I mean, on this new land that we discovered, you know what I mean? You stuck in the old ways, in the old world, and you're forgotten. You know what I mean?
It's like this, like you just said, right? I'm gonna go deeper into it. It's like if there's a bridge that me and you created, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we started on opposite ends and we're trying to meet together in the
Yeah.
beginning. But when we meet together in the beginning, you burn it, right? Like you set it on
Mm.
fire. You know what that's gonna force us to do is retreat the back this way. So we're
Yep.
never gonna be able to reconnect and move forward if we're not continuing that. So
Ah.
that's why I always try to build bridges for myself and people. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, man, like I agree with that. It's a good analogy.
Yeah. And you know what too is like, it's not just some, it's not just a great analogy or some fly shit to say, you know what I mean? Because that's it's just really being you know what I mean? It's really just being genuine about that statement right there. Like, what I mean? In order to get to somewhere, you know what I mean? Like, somebody might be that bridge for you. And like, and for all you leaders out there, my man Kai right here, he had said this before on my show, you know what I mean? Hey, be better leaders then. If you're a leader, be a better leader, because the people following you, they might meet their demise with you. You know what I mean? Like, you leaders, they got a lot of responsibility. You know what I mean? Like, they got these followers. Hey, you know what I mean? And this kind of correlates directly with social media, because people that build a big following on social media may feel like, hey, I'm some type of leader. You know what I mean? Like, hey, but do you have a legion of idiots, or do you have a legion of fucking, you know what I mean? Some go-getters. You know what I mean? Some
Exactly.
motherfuckers that got the go-get-it chromosome. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? And they found you and they're like, okay, this motherfucker could take us to the promised land. You know what I mean? Like, and to be honest too, it's definitely something I live by, which is we get out what we put in. You know what I mean? Just keep working, and like you said, hey, all you motherfuckers that say you're busy, you better really be a busy motherfucker, bro. Because you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because don't just say
Exactly.
act, like get all Hollywood on a motherfucker, like, oh, I'm kind of busy, let me check my schedule. Like, really be a busy motherfucker then, because then that's why, like, okay, now this motherfucker's, he really getting it in.
He's
Like,
getting
he,
it, and you could
yeah,
see it.
yeah,
You see
exactly.
it.
You know what I
Like
mean? Like,
it's not
versus,
just it's not just I'm busy putting out my own material.
it's
That's
true.
fine. Do you like? But again, like you just said, you get back what you put in. Like, so if you're only putting out your, because I know some cats, bro. Like that's why I have mentioned that, bro. Like I had to, you got to talk to people. Like you
Yeah,
have to communicate. If I feel like Bogart, like it's funny because sometimes you don't have to though. Like with you, right? Like, you
yeah.
know,
Like,
I'm gonna just tell the people what was going on. Like I had changed my number and hadn't talked to Bogart and the rest of the cats
this is
for like a
accurate.
month, bro. And within that time, apparently they was hitting me up, but they didn't take it no way. It wasn't like they, but I could see how they could have, like, this motherfucker's posting and shit.
It
Like,
could have
what's
been
going on? Like,
it could have been taken out of context, but see, I knew that, oh, this motherfucker's, he just busy. You know what I mean? He actually a busy motherfucker. Like, I didn't know about, your current job situation. All I remember, from the last time I spoke with you, you was working like 6 days a week type of shit. So I was like, oh, he's just
right.
busy. You know what I mean? But also at the same time, it never dawned on me in this specific situation to be like, shit, man, I've been texting him. Let me just pick up the phone. And
Right.
then when it was disconnected, I was like, ah, no wonder he got a new line, man. Now I got to message him. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because it's not like we weren't talking in the thread that you made. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But I was just like, so I'm like, okay, I just need to get his new line so we can, meet, because, I am on a mission, a funky expedition. You know what I mean? To, make the podcast list podcaster have a podcast. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? I'm like,
Right,
yo,
right, right. Yeah.
I want this guy knows his basketball isms. You know what I mean? I want to see that through, because that was kind of a fly idea that you had, and I was like, I'm kind of like the right hand man over there at the Rum Boys. So it was kind of dope when he was like, that'll be a dope idea, right? I'm like, hell yeah. You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? Like, I'm like that, you know what I mean? And because I know Robbie, when he feels something's a good idea, you know what I mean? When he asks me, hey, this is a good idea, huh? He's looking for confirmation bias. I'm like, oh yeah, it is. He's like, okay, yeah, I was right. Let's
Okay,
do
good.
this. You know what I
Good.
mean?
Right, right,
And I'm
right.
like, hell yeah, you know what I mean? Because to be honest, that month flew by because for
It
real,
did.
we is some of those busy motherfuckers. The three of us,
Right.
like we got things moving. And that was also part of something I wanted to make sure, because going into 2021 is like, we just want to make sure, like, our, this foundation we're all building, it stays stable. You know what I mean? So we could erect a fucking, a nice structure, you know what I'm saying? That, and it's something that stands strong. You know what I mean? That could,
Pause.
yeah, oh, yeah. I know that kind of sounded wrong everywhere, huh?
But real quick, I was gonna say when I say that
He said pause.
when I say that we're not that busy, what I'm really saying is we're not that busy to at least also okay.
Okay, now go ahead.
No, I was saying we're also not that busy, or excuse me, when I say that um we're not that busy, what I'm trying to say is you can communicate also. Like just us creating that thread makes communication. Now
Yeah,
you have a
there's no
billion
excuse
people
now.
asking, okay, does anyone want to collaborate? So now at least the motion is moving. It's not just, oh, I'm busy, I can't do anything because I'm tied to my own stuff. But here, like my post, it's like, bro, like, okay,
Hey,
like,
you
of
want to know what's
course.
hella funny?
What?
Hey, this is hella funny right here. Cause when you made the thread, you kind of laid out what, like, kind of the rationale why you made this thread, kind of the reasons behind it, right? Just a little
Right.
short, and sweet. And then you said, listen, everybody, don't let this just be one of them joints where everybody's just posting their posts. And like,
Exactly.
it obviously is, it is what it is, along with that too.
Right,
Right.
right.
And then, like, after a while, I was like, man, shit, I'm doing that shit too then. You know what I mean?
For
I'm gonna
real.
put my post in that joint too.
Right.
But the intentions were there. You know what I mean? So it's really, because you know what it is too, man. It's I think this year not only serves as a precursor to what's coming up next and for the years, and the years coming up, but also like as a filtration system to be like, okay, this will definitely weave out and filter out, the motherfuckers that really want to rock. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, like, listen, if I haven't moved, too much up the totem pole next year, when you see me, I'm gonna look at it like, oh, but you still see me, because
Right.
a lot of people, they're gonna fall through the woodwork. You know what I mean? Like, they're not gonna be doing this. If it doesn't work for them right away, they tend to give up. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? And the one thing I do want to say is I enjoy doing this. You know what I mean? Like, anytime something becomes something that you don't enjoy doing and you're not getting paid, so to speak, like, professionals get paid. So you have the right to be stressed. You know what I mean? Like, don't be stressing off this fun ass shit. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That means that, hey, then don't do it then. You know what I mean? If you equal stress, then don't do it then. You know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
this thing hypes me up. Like, I enjoy being there, especially in these times. Ironically, this is how we kick it. You know what
Ain't
I
that
mean?
crazy? Like literally, but
Yeah.
ma'am, I do gotta bounce on out, brother.
No, all good, brother. I, I just wanted to shoot the shit, really. You know what I mean? I figured we'll talk about, this, that, and the third. And I think we accomplished that, man. You know what I mean? It's a little
Man,
quick
I
hitter.
appreciate it, man. Like for real, because it's still I rather give people knowledge sometimes than just football facts. But we get
Yeah.
both.
Oh yeah. You know what I'm saying? Start, just a
But real
little
quick,
bit
guys, real
behind.
quick. I stand behind Cam Akers. You gotta think of Sean McVay when he had Todd Gurley in his prime.
Yep.
It's the same thing except he less injury, it seems like.
Yeah.
And then you got a more experienced McVay and golf, even though he's still fucking golf. You
Yeah.
you still got the weapons, so he's still a threat. Great for PPR. I would, especially going into the playoffs with the St. St. Louis, Los Angeles, the Rams.
Rams. Yeah.
looking to make a push, they're going to be trying to play their best
Yeah.
ball.
Yeah, and
So
they're trying to hold on to that. They're trying to hold on to that division lead right now. They lead in my division right now.
so that's my nugget before I head out. And just shout out GMM Rum Boys real quick. Thanks for having me on. You can check me out at Komplicated Ky. If you need a video edited, take a look at the work
Oh yeah.
and work it with me. Let's do it.
Yeah. And man, y'all already know, you know what I'm saying? Check us out, the Rum Boys Fantasy Network on YouTube. Also check us out at the GMM Network on YouTube. Also available on Spotify, where you'll find the real fantasy playmakers. And you know, Kai, man, I'm glad to be working alongside people that is like-minded, man, to be honest.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I try to be when I have to be as a video guy, man. I have to see people's visions. I didn't realize that I don't mean to make it sound like that, but it's almost like a gift, bro, because I have to be able to see where are you, Santa Clara?
Yeah, I'm in Santa Clara County, but I'm in San Jose.
San Jose.
Yeah, which is still considered Santa
Is that
Clara
the
County.
408? 408, right?
Yes.
So the plug is in Atlanta. I'm working with this other guy who's in Texas. Adam, New Orleans, I believe. Everybody's in everywhere, and I have to be able to grasp whatever your vision is and then make you love it. So like, man, it's crazy. So
It's kind of cool too, because you're from Los Angeles, and that's it's a place that every people are from everywhere there too. So you're kind of in this melting pot where it kind of gives you that edge, where it's like, you know what I mean? You are able to visualize where people's from, because you more than likely might have encountered people in that sense from all these places. You know what I mean?
right.
And even if you hadn't, you have now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, man, thanks again. You know what I mean? This was a GMM Network Komplicated Ky collaboration. You know what I'm saying? Of the real fantasy playmakers. Hey.
Hey.